All right, all right, all right. We are back, and we are not going anywhere. Welcome back to another open court discussion live in the Counselor's Corner. I'm your cool, calm, collected host, David Lorenzo Glover, aka the Controversial Counselor. Joining me is my co host, the Big Bad Wolf, Herb Lewis,
Oh,
and also the lovely Jackie Brown. Um,
Blessed evening.
Thank you, thank you. And you know the drill as far as the panel. We'll have to wait and see who pulls up. Hopefully, it's you. Recap from this past Monday's broadcast. Dating, is it complicated or do people make it complicated? I gave my perspective, but oh my God, it was a heat up. Too much to explain. So I recommend you go back and check out the replay. Now, moving on to tonight's topic, we will lead off with the topic things men do that annoy women during the dating process, such as when men ignore women, when we're watching our sports and don't want to be bothered, or you want to have this in depth conversation and we just not feeding into it at that particular time. But it's other times. I'm just throwing that out there to begin with. Number two, more swagger than substance. When people dress the part, but their behavior is not aligned with it. So women don't like when men have more swagger than substance. Number three, self admiration. You know, the type that look at me, look at what I'm doing now. Look what I had for breakfast. Look what I made for dinner. And everything they do, they got to post, they got to talk about it, and they just like to dominate conversations talking about all about themselves. I can't wait to dig deep into this topic. All right, let's shift our focus to segment two. Do we care about each other when it comes to gender issues, such as the Me Too movement, child support, single motherhood? Unfortunately, I might have to say, hell no, we don't care unless we're benefiting from it. It's going to be interesting to see what else everyone else has to say about this segment. Again, the table has been set. What are you going to bring to the table tonight? Please like and share our video and don't forget to subscribe to the YouTube channel, The Controversial Counselor. About 23 subs away from 600. It's a slow grind, but we will not stop grinding until we get there. Everyone, okay, that was just, never mind that. All right. So we're here tonight. What's going on, good people? How y'all doing?
man, after last week, man, you know what I decided to do?
What's that?
Nothing. I still don't own a car.
Oh yeah. Well, anything good, bad, or indifferent going on with you after
Nah,
last week's
man,
broadcast?
just cut the hair. That's about it, man. The rug was getting kind of thick. I don't need the shag, so that's about it.
Okay. What about you, Jackie?
My phone didn't want to unmute. Okay, so nothing really. Just still on the grind, trying to make things happen on my end, and just keeping my grandmother up in prayer, um, as she's still in the ICU. So,
She's
Okay.
stable, or
well, she had a stroke, so waiting for the swelling to go down, and she's pretty swollen. So, it's gotten better over time, but it's like we're hoping for something to change like quicker because I mean, having a stroke and half of your brain swelling, pushing over to the other side, it's kind of tough.
okay.
Yeah. So everyone give good thoughts or prayers if you pray. Thank you.
No question. For me, it's the same old, same old. I mean, work and well, I tell you, I need to. And I said this before. I need to start working on this middle school madness book. The things that these kids say, and I don't know. I try to send out a message and let parents know. Y'all gotta be mindful. Yeah, those same little kids y'all be posting on social media like yo angel, yo king, and all that stuff. Only if you could be a fly in the wall to hear some of the things that they say. See me, I'm the type. I'm not gonna get into verbal debates with kids. So a lot of stuff I laugh it off. And I could give you an example the other day. So I'm walking down the hallway. I like to play with them, mess around with them. So I'm walking down the hall, and this one girl, she always come to see me. So I kind of walk by, tap her on her on her shoulder blade on the opposite side. So of course, she looked like, "Who just hit me? Who just hit me?" And they like, "Oh, Mr. Glover." They're like, "Mr. Glover, why you hit me?" So then this other girl comes up, gives me like a little side hug, and then I tell them, "Oh, why y'all in the hallway? Y'all need to go to class." So I walk away a little bit. So she says to the other girl, excuse my language on this. She was like, "That bald head motherfucker smell good." Stuff like that you wouldn't even think of, and you just like, man, like I just don't have no filters, just don't care. And a lot of times people may spend time arguing, going back and forth, saying, "Oh, that's inappropriate." Nah, I just it didn't impact me, it don't hurt me. I just kept it moving, whatever, and kind of laughed to myself. I said, these they in for a rude awakening, unless until they be able to dial down their filters and learn to who to say stuff to, when to say it, and because they're eighth graders and they're about to go to high school, so they're going. One of the things where I was telling them, it's not going to be all that hand holding when you get to high school. So that consumes a lot of my time, man. Just these this middle school life, but that's that.
Yeah, I know with the few years that I've done the equivalent in Niagara Falls they call it preparatory school because it's seventh and eighth grade. I've seen some things or heard some things, and I found the notepad that I used to take notes in, and I read back through some of the stuff, and I'm just like, I can't believe half of the stuff that these kids actually get into and they talk about. It is if parents, like you said, if parents knew and they understood, they would question their parenting.
Oh, you gotta let me jump in on this one. Oh, I gotta hit this one. Well, by me working with young people as well, I find that even though a lot of them are raised properly, and a lot of them are in a Christian household, it doesn't stop them from being influenced by their peers, you know.
Mhm.
And a lot of times they put on these airs and at school, and when they're out, when they come home, they're acting like angels. A lot of parents don't know what their kids are doing once they walk out, and a lot of parents they're just like their kids, so that you get the same effect. You know, if your children are a certain way and the parents are no much better, it's like, what are you expecting? You know, you can't expect different. And a lot of these parents are young. You know, you have a lot more younger parents than you do older parents. So you have that whole
Excuse
street
me.
mentality. God bless you, and that street mentality carries over. So it's all of the influences they have at school and society as a whole. So
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't nothing they do shock me at this point. It just kind of make me shake my head and just say to myself, "Whew, we in for it, man. This is our future. Yeah, we better get prepared for that." Even even the customer service with the young people when you go in the stores and stuff like that, and the ones that actually still have people working. The instant attitudes that they have, and like they don't want to be somewhere, and they're doing you a favor by being there. It's just interesting, but we can go on and on about that. I just you know like like to open up things, get to get our blood boiling a little bit. So we gonna dive into the subject matter. things that men do that annoy women during the dating process and also during relationships. Why we could take it even further.
Mm.
So, being that you're the only woman on the panel, Jackie, we'll let you lead off with this. Some of the things that you've seen or heard that's very annoying.
Well, disrespect is one. The lack of attention is two. And basically, the self entitlement thing that a lot of men do have. Um, I think that creates a lot of issues in the relationship because sometimes, you know, um, I know that you guys have discussed about how, some women are, but I just believe that a lot of times when people get into a relationship and it is sexual and they're doing all these different things, they actually don't spend the intimate time that they need around each other to build that relationship and gain an understanding between each other and just know where each other are and what our likes and dislikes are. So if that doesn't happen, then you find that most men have a tendency to just do them. They have their own routine, they have their own thing going on, and they just do them. And that's the neglect part, that I'm referring to.
Okay.
And
Uh,
lies. But anyway, lies.
How does that actually, what does that actually look like to a woman? Because we hear what you're saying,
Hmm.
but a lot of men will say that they do M, N, and O. And sometimes, even when with certain women, when you do things a certain way, it still isn't what they want. So, what does that actually look like physically to a man? If a man was to look for something,
Well, when a man wants to definitely figure out how his relationship is going to go, I think we talked about boundaries before, and I think if the boundaries are set, then there wouldn't be any unrealistic expectations in certain areas. But I just believe that two people that come together that have their own individual lives, they literally, are just implementing that person in it. But if we don't talk about, hey, I got this and that going on, right? Um, and the next person don't know, and let's say that the female or the male plan something, then the woman is like, well, I told you I got this going on. The man gets offended, and then he may not want to come around much. He may not want to call her. He may not want to even give her the time that she deserves. And a lot of times when people don't communicate, it brings conflict and it brings division. So that causes a lot of issues between men and women because of the miscommunication. I find that men, they may not explain everything to a woman because they feel like, yo, I'm doing me. She's, yeah, I like her or whatever. I want to spend time with her. But overall, you have your own life going. And normally the woman might expect certain things. She may want you to just, you know, give her a quick text and say, yo, babe, I'm thinking about you, um, or whatever, just to make sure she knows that the care is there. And if those things don't happen, especially after the sex has started, then you realize that, yo, that's some annoying stuff. I'm not that important anymore. So that's an example. Or did you want more, or did I answer your question?
no. What I was the reason why I asked what that looks like is because men and women communicate differently, and
Right.
I think people need to understand women don't paint the same picture with words, mainly because when a woman's speaking, she's not speaking concrete ideals. She's speaking based on how she feels. And for a man that doesn't equate, BGS used to always say this, he would never ask a woman what's wrong. He would ask how she feels. And I'm thinking about that and I'm starting to implement that a little bit more, especially when dealing with social media. When I see certain things come out, stop being on camera. When I see certain statements made, it's not indicative of what a problem is or what she thinks is wrong. It's indicative of what she feels. So men have to be able to decipher through that. And for a lot of men, especially younger men, without having that kind of experience, they will hear what a woman says. They will think they have addressed it when in actuality they haven't come close.
True.
Case in point, a woman can come home and say, "You didn't take out the garbage." Guy says, "Okay, she wants me to take out the garbage." She takes out the garbage and she's still displeased. And the guy would be thinking, "You said I didn't take out the garbage and I did. So what's wrong?" It's the fact that she had to remind him to take it out. That translates into, "You didn't hear me." And when people feel they're not being heard, they feel they're being disrespected. And that's the thing that is never communicated clearly from one gender to the other in a way that is understood.
But that comes from just open communication, period. To because when you're starting to learn someone, you end up knowing what they mean when they say certain things. And with that,
And hold on, let me interrupt you for one moment. Therein lies the trap. I shouldn't have to get to know an individual to understand spoken words. If you ask me for something and I tell you no, what do I mean?
no.
There's no maybe, there's no confusion, there's no apprehension at all. This is what I was just referencing, is that when anybody says you have to get to know an individual, there's automatically a lack of communication and understanding, and that's where the pitfalls come out. Just want to get that in there.
Yeah, but you know what? I have to add this as well.
Mhm,
Depending on the the background of a person, as in their national background, their culture,
mhm,
things are not the same.
mhm,
Things are not the same. I can communicate with an American person, and during that period of time while we're communicating, I may say certain things, and in that conversation, they'll say, "Wait a minute, what did you mean by that?" And I have to explain what I mean because my terminology with certain things are not the same. Being Jamaican is not the same as an American person, so I have to
mhm,
always clarify what I mean by that. So it's not a yes or no situation because if I say, okay, Moana, you took out the garbage, okay, I'm not gonna in my head culturally, I'm not gonna put a time on you to put out the garbage, but just know that the garbage needs is gonna go out by you. Now, if it comes up where it don't go out till the next day, then I'm gonna have an issue with it. You understand what I'm saying? I don't have to, even if I have to say, the garbage is full. Me, I'm not gonna get upset over that. I'm not gonna see it in a way that's gonna be an issue. But some people would, and I get that. So culturally, it depends. Relationships are just so. Trust me, we got to look at all of the different cultures, the different dynamics within these cultures, and how people address things, how they view things. In some cultures, you don't even have to say much of nothing. Like most Jamaicans, you just say a simple. You can even look away, or direct your attention to something without even speaking, and you know it got to be done. You can even just say a couple words, and it's going to be done. You don't have to explain anything, and that's even within the family makeup. So my thing is, when I'm dealing with people that's not a part of my culture, I got to teach them how I respond and how I process info and how I am going to respond when it comes down to what they say. And if they don't understand, then I'll break it down some more so that we're both on the same page of how I communicate and they communicate.
So, how does that work when you're not from here and you come in your culture, you do certain things a certain way, and that man is like, shit, that's what you do there. I don't move like that. How does how does that work? And it could go both ways. When a woman's not from a certain place and she comes and she's used to doing a certain thing, and then a man is grounded in his ways.
Well, that's where there shouldn't be a relationship because if there's no adaptability, then why are two people coming together? If you know you're going to date somebody from a different culture, everyone has to be open to the fact that I'm about to learn something. I'm going to learn something. The draw wasn't just physical. You saw that the person wasn't from here from the first conversation. So it's like the other person has to be open too on both sides to say, hey, I'm going to have to see what's up with this, how their beliefs are, how they do things, how they move. All that is open communication. It's all going to take to make that relationship work, because that's one thing that is a difficult thing, but it's maneuverable, because you'll find that people get into relationships with other cultures just because some cultures are more submissive, some cultures are more whatever, and a lot of these people, I find a lot of Americans are dating foreigners because they find that culturally is they have something that is needed or that they want, which a lot of times is submissiveness.
Well, let me. It was somebody I had posted this question in the counselor's corner, and one of the feedback I got from a young lady, she said, what annoys her is when man call too much, lie
Ooh.
about simple things, want to know where I am at and who I'm with every second. Now,
Mm.
that call too much, it's kind of funny when women put that out there,
For real.
saying that a man calls too much, but then when he doesn't call,
Mm-hmm.
um, that's an issue or whatever case. See, the thing is, you don't want to start off with talking all the time on a regular basis or doing certain things on a regular basis. Then all of a sudden, now that person calls too much.
Mm-hmm.
They text too much.
Mm-hmm.
You want to change up the game when you're years into the relationship. So that's something you have to think about. And let me make comment to Swan. She said we all want him to take out the trash, but we're not just talking about taking out the trash. It's other issues that happens with people when they, mix with different cultures. Beside taking out the trash, there's other things. So, but back to that point about calling too much or wanting to know where that person is. Well, it sounds like some insecurity, but I wonder, is it the same treatment the other way around? That because the one thing a lot of women do, they yeah, they love to change up the game. When they do something, it's different, and a man could turn around and do the same thing, and it's like a catastrophe when they do it. But when women do it, it's like, oh, it's supposed to be swept under the rug.
The reason why I'm chuckling and this, I'm not to jump ahead of where we are, is because I for those of you who read the chat, I put in a list of about 23 things, and I want to see how they break down among gender lines. That was why I was chuckling. And one of the things that I have in there is real men do this. So it just goes to what David was saying. That's why I was chuckling, because we hear that as guys. You hear a lot of things consistent. Like there's a consistent theme. It's just what David was saying. When women do certain things, it's socially acceptable. However, if a man does it, it is not. So it just reinforces what David was saying.
Yeah, so that comes with, I don't know. I think consistency kind of rules out a lot of stuff. If someone's used to doing something, they've been consistent in doing it. I don't know if they're going to change. That's just going to be a part of them. You can't all of a sudden now, like I said, you year two or three say, hold on, wait a minute, stop doing what you're doing, but you never had an issue with it before.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't
And
work like that.
right, and that's interesting because I'm wondering, um, from the statement she made, I'm wondering, is it because she's just tired and bored of him now? Because it sounds like she doesn't want to be bothered with him, or maybe it just got old, or maybe she just found someone else to talk to who is definitely more entertaining. Because no one does that just haphazardly. There has to be a reason behind it. So for me, it just seems like she's bored with him, and
Mhm.
or she just don't want to be bothered anymore. And I think that's messed up.
To
For real.
expand on that, boredom is definitely one thing that will send a younger woman, and by younger I mean generally under the age of 36, 37, because that once you hit 38, 39, you start to realize that there's certain things you want to always be consistent. This is
Mhm.
one of the reasons why a lot of women gravitate to men who are adventurous, they're
Mhm.
outgoing, because it's always something different. It's almost in the same vein as men who are adrenaline junkies. Women like surprises, for lack of a better term. They want to be stimulated because it makes them feel quote unquote alive. And that's the thing that a lot of men don't understand. They say, well, look, the bills are paid, you got food here, the kids are taken care of. Yes, that's expected. That's for some women, that's the bare minimum that a guy can do. Now, what else are you going to do for me? I want more. I want to take the vacation. I want to live like this person. I want to be stimulated. I want to be rude. I want to be wild. You thinking it's a guy, I don't have the energy for it. I'm tired. I go to work 40 plus hours a week. I do this, you do that. And we're supposed to find time to do all this. That's why that empty nest syndrome hits. It generally affects women more so than it does men, because men haven't, and this is another thing that I wrote down on the list was childcare. They need something to occupy that time now. They're no longer helping with homework. They're no longer involved in school activities. So now they have eight, maybe 9 hours a day that they need to fill. While the man's still busy doing what he's always been doing, that woman is not.
Well, let's look at this point. The part about more swagger than substance. What's your take on that? Men that have swag, but they really don't have substance behind it.
You know what?
Woo.
I will tell you this. I was about 23, 24, maybe 25, somewhere around there. And back in my clubbing days across the Niagara Falls, Ontario, there was this club called Club Velvet. Everybody used to go there. This place would fit probably about 1,000 people in there. And you get people coming from as far away as Toronto, which is about an hour away. You got your pick of the litter, especially if you're reasonably attractive. You had quote unquote the swagger. And I remember speaking to this female one time, reasonably good looking female. And she said, I can never talk to you. I said, why? She said, you don't got street swagger. And I was like, oh, you're one of those. And it goes back to what I was just saying prior. Some women are looking for that edge in a man, and that edge doesn't necessarily have to be related to confidence. There's a certain aura that attracts some men and some women. And women feed off of that more so than men. Like I said, it's not that men don't feed off it. Women feed off it more so because they're looking for something magnetic, whereas men tend to be magnetic. Men are looking, depending on the age and depending on what they want and where you meet them at, men just might be looking for a splash and dash. A woman might be looking for that initially, but like Jackie said, after the sex, what binds us?
So Ronelli said define swag.
Oh, I can define that. That's easy.
Go ahead. Go ahead. Give it to her.
For real, give it to us.
Swag is what you will find on the street. Swag is the quintessential thing that a man that's raised on the street has, that somebody who's refined, more of a bookworm or what they call a nerd or a geek, doesn't. In other words, you're not gonna find somebody with a pocket protector hanging out on the corner. That's not their cup of tea. They don't do that. The man with swag is the equivalent to somebody like Debo from the movie Friday. Versus, matter of fact, I'll give you a better analogy.
Debo ass
I'll
ain't
give you,
had
I'll
no
give you a better,
swag.
I'll give, hold on, I'll give you a better analogy. Yeah, I'll give you a
Come
better
on.
analogy. The movie Class Act. I believe most of us have seen it. Most of us probably remember it. The difference between Chris's character before and after. That's swag.
So we got a couple comments going on here. Lakia Perry Burns said, "This dude always have a Toronto story." Shaking my head. LOL. Uh,
Hold on. Just goes to show you that people don't listen well.
what? What you?
I'm gonna put it out there. I'm gonna say it again. Just goes to show you that people do not listen well. We always talk about communication on this show. I said there are people that come from there as far away as Toronto. I didn't talk about Toronto. Learn to listen. Q-tips.
like LaShawn said, "Your walk." I think your walk is definitely a part of it, but you don't have to be a street person to have that walk. Young boys, and it may be from watching someone from the streets, whatever. A lot of times you emulate, you see a certain walk, or you have that little dip into your walk, or whatever the case is, that you might pick up on that. But that doesn't mean that you're just all the way street or hood. So she said, your walk, your talk, hood version. Ronell said, you can't have swag and be a geek. I think you still can have swag and be a geek or intelligent or whatever the case is. That may come in a version of the way you dress, your style. It may stand out over someone else's or most people. So I think you can have in your confidence level too. So it's different meanings to it all.
And I think that a man that has swag, he can have street knowledge, but then definitely can have intellectual conversation and also dress the part. Um, he doesn't have to fit the mold. I mean, it's just whatever stands out about that person that gives them swag. I don't put everybody under the same umbrella because you'll find that certain people, I mean, intelligent or geeky, whatever, they still there's a swag to them because there's everyone has a different light. So to each his own on the swag part. you know.
So I'm laughing at Rondell comment. She said it sounds like street, a street ninja for Bad Wolf's definition.
Well, it is. I think that this is what makes it. This is what makes navigating the field so difficult for a lot of men who don't understand it. Because I'll put it to you like this: when I came back from foster care, going into the seventh grade, I didn't know anyone here because I'd been gone for like almost 4 years. I was the quintessential square guy. Didn't hang out, wasn't dealing with females like that. So for all intents and purposes, I was the guy that didn't have any swag. It didn't bother me because what I'd known up until that point was books, working hard, staying out of the streets. We get a lot of young black men who get mixed messages from music, television, mainstream entertainment, and they're trying to find their footing, especially as they hit puberty, because they don't want to be left out, but they're not in the sports or they're not athletic. They may be in the sports, but they may not be good enough to make one of the teams in high school. They have never played before. So they're left looking out. And we know all the high school girls, at least the ones that are considered to be attracted by the young guys, they're in the sports. So they're getting the choice women. Meanwhile, these young men are sitting on the side. So they're asking, if they have a father, what do I need to do to get what he got? And if the father can explain it, he might get solid footing as he gets to that point. And when he gets into college, he can improve his his physical attractiveness by working out. Like Jackie said, he might be able to speak better, become more relatable. He might find his niche in something. But if he can't do that and he gets out of college, he's going to be looked at as a square. And this is one of the things that Kevin Samuels was actually trying to get men to get into, was to improve their self-confidence and their attractiveness in that aura, so that women would gravitate towards them. Because if you look at a lot of men who are surrounded by women, they don't do anything spectacular. They just exist. Think about this. Let's take the most attractive man that most women know. He's going to generate a crowd, and he doesn't have to say much, because his physical attractiveness is what a lot of women are going to gravitate to. Similarly to a woman, you take an attractive woman, men are going to gravitate to her naturally. She doesn't have to say anything. She can be the most unintelligent person in the world. Women are going to gravitate to her. Same thing with a man. He can be the most unintelligent man in the world. Women are going to gravitate to him. We saw that with the guy who was the first skin gun. I have no idea what his name was. His prison picture, and women were just fawning all over him. That prison picture gave him that street credit, that swagger, as people like to refer to. Nobody knew anything about him.
So I want to read some of these comments. LaShawn said, I like to be checked sometimes. I get carried away. I don't want a man to be okay with BS. I may do. So she wants somebody that has the confidence to kind of put her in her place. Ronell said, David has geek swag in school, in hood. Listen, Ronell. I could tell a story behind that. When I first started working at Bryan and Stratton, a couple students, young ladies came up. They was like, man, when we seen you, we was like, oh God, we got one of these young brothers. And at the time I was 25. They was like, we got one of these young brothers in here. He probably like white girls. He probably such and such, just coming up with everything, sort of like Uncle Tom. They came out with everything. They said, damn, when we seen you walk, we was like, okay. He got a little walk. And she said, then we talked to you. We was like, he ghetto as hell. So so don't get it twisted. And one of the things also, one of the things one of my former principals has said to another principal when I was trying to get promoted to be a department chair. And it was a white guy. I was coming into his school. He was like, well, David's kind of quiet. He's real quiet. And the principal, the one I was currently working at, he said, listen, don't worry about that, because you know why? He's a force. So I believe those is words that go with swag, confidence, and force, your presence.
Mhm.
And he was like, he's a force. So don't let it fool you. He's a force with the students or whatever the case is. And it's not like I'm somebody that yells and do all that. I'm kind of low key, do a lot of observing. But when I do say something, I barely seldom in my 28 years of education have barely ever been uh, cussed out, or, somebody just went off on me like that, barely, because I don't give off that energy. So, that's confidence, and that's, I guess, geeky swag. I don't know. That's funny. That's funny. It was
Yes,
another comment. Oh, I want to read this one last one by right now. She said, hell, I was ghetto in my young days, but I had a soft side when you come to know me. So I think folks can have an on and off button. It kind of disappeared. Hold on. Can have an on and off button for the time and place to be appropriate. I definitely agree with that too. It's a time and place for everything. People with adaptability can be able to kind of bring all of that into one, but not have an imbalance of it during depending on the situation or where they're at. So it makes a lot of sense what you're saying.
Yeah, I see. I've never, personally speaking, I've never been one to try and fit into that whole culture. I'm just me. Where I am. I just exist. I'm just like, I'm not trying to fit their definition of what that is, his definition, her definition. I'm just gonna sit here in the cytoplasm. And like David said, I'll be the mitochondria. I don't have the time for the nonsense. And that's why I'm quick to cut a lot of people off. People tell me I like patience. No, I just don't have time for the nonsense. I really don't. People say, "Oh, you what's the term? You I'm antisocial is what I get often. I say no. I said quite the opposite. I'm selectively social. That's how I keep the nonsense away from
That's
people.
what's
I mean,
up.
yeah,
That's
I
what's
tell
up.
people.
I take that word.
I,
Selectively. That's what's
I, this is what I want people to understand. Your presence to be associated with you should be treated with the utmost respect. There should be no greater pleasure than for somebody to be in your circle. And I think a lot of people don't understand that they don't value their self worth, their value like that. Me, I do, and I tell people in the heartbeat, look, I don't want you around me. You have no presence here. You have no future. Bye. I'm
up.
quick to cut people off.
Mm-mm.
Herb said his cut off game is strong. I mean,
Exactly.
and I think a lot of times people don't have that ability to show folks whatever. Listen, I'm past that stage. Just because we went to school K through 12 together and been around each other in the college days, it's a different time now. You're not doing what I'm trying to do. Every time I talk to you, it's some negative shit you talking or complaining about this. Nobody nobody has time for that, no matter who you are. You don't, it's always a pleasure. Like, I don't often talk to some of my friends on a regular basis, but when we do talk, boy, an hour, 2 hours can go by just cracking jokes, laughing, reminiscing, talk about different quotes and different things, and we can pick up right then and there, and may not talk to each other again for another 4 or 5 months. Which
Yeah.
probably we need to get better with that because life is short and
Mhm.
you need those moments in this stressful time to have people in your life that give you a good feeling, a good vibe. Um, but sometimes you get off the phone, you're like, oh man, that felt good. That was a good conversation. But all too often we have unproductive conversations with the same people complaining about this and that. Oh, I don't like my job. I don't like this. Uh, my man is doing this. My kids is this. Nobody want to hear that shit. Nobody wants. I don't. But some people do want to hear it. They feed off of
I,
that. They wake up to
well,
that. I don't want to hear it.
here's the thing too with that. You have to understand that some people have certain types of friends that they talk to about certain things, right? Because like for myself, for example, I know who I can talk to about certain things. I can't talk to all of everyone in my life that I call a close friend about everything. I have my Christian friends that, you may, chop it up with about whatever issues going on, and then, we'll pray together or whatever. And then you have your other people who you may not trust as much to give all your info to. But if you have someone in your life that you know that you can, tell it all to, rant and rave with. Yeah, you need that person. It can't be everybody though, but you know what I'm saying?
See,
Everybody needs that person to be
see,
able to vent to and not have cast any kind of, bad views on or look at in such a way that, oh man, I'm just tired of them.
I,
They
I
had to
hear,
have that. Go
I hear
ahead.
what you're saying. I hear what you're saying, Jackie. But I think at a certain point, that's when you weed people out and you try to find friends that can give you all of that. When they want to roast your ass, they can still do that, but yet and still they grounded enough to give you good professional advice and
Mhm.
all of that stuff. Because they have the, and I know you didn't say that, but I'm gonna ad lib with it a little bit. Have your hood friends over here. Oh, this is a tough subject, so I want to talk to Shaquisha about this. No, I ain't about to deal with all that. I ain't about to deal with that. I want the people that I'm close to be well rounded, and I can get a little bit of like a one stop shop, get a little bit of everything from them.
Well, and there are people out there like that, but you have to understand some people don't have people like that, because if you look at in today's society, you have a lot of young people who are hanging out with their own kind, right, their own peers, and they're not able to give no good advice. Some of them may, but a lot of them don't. So you'll find that you can have misdirected people. You have people that's coming up with some ideologies that don't make any sense because of where they're getting their info from. So I find that if people who talk to me, just to get whatever information and or get some clarity on some things, I'm going to give them a wide range of ideas on how to fix their issue or whatever. Fine, I'm that type of a person. But I'm telling you, everybody don't have that option. You don't. Everyone don't have that option, especially if you sometimes in the hood where nobody really, really pushing to go nowhere and doing nothing, and you that your surroundings are just them people. That's the mentality you're gonna be around, and that's what you're gonna feed off. So not everybody have the options of well-rounded people in their life. That's all.
Which is to that point. That's why I'm always pushing for people to, as David says it all the time, get uncomfortable. Go places, do things, even if you have to go by yourself. Toronto story coming up.
Mm, I
When
know
I was
that's right.
24, before I went back to Bell State, I think it was for my third year there, I took a trip to Toronto. Went and stayed in a hotel, and I think it was Brampton. I think it was. Didn't know nobody, but I wanted to be able to clear my head for the upcoming semester because I needed to do well. Didn't know anybody, and I got people asking me for directions on the subway. Now, mind you, I didn't know much about the TTC, especially the underground. But as I used it more, I got more acquainted with it. And what I found out was this: we are all, except for people born in multiple births, and even then, you're still born one person at a time by yourself. The ability to be able to grow and expand your circles and talk to people and form a relationship, even if it's just a temporary one, is invaluable. A lot of people don't know how to do that. And it's just like Jackie said, if you're cultivated in an area where people don't go anywhere, do anything, or aspire to be anything, you are going to live a really, really sheltered life. All that stuff that you see on TV, you can tell people, oh man, why are you worried about that? You can't go there. You can't do this. You'll never achieve that. And especially as black men, that's the one thing that we're fed, is that you are never going to amount to anything. Some people have heard the phrase, you can be just like your dad, and your dad wasn't nothing, so you ain't going to be nothing. And it becomes disheartening. It becomes defeatist. And if they eat that long enough without something else, they start to believe it. So if that kid doesn't go to college and he stays in a small city of 30, 40,000 people, never goes anywhere, he's not going to value life in the same way that people who go places do. This is one of the reasons why you see this uptick in male violence, is because they don't think there's anything left. An individual who has a future, who's got money, who's got something going for him, they can say, hey, look, I don't know about you, man, but I'm supposed to go to the Bahamas in 2 weeks. I'm not trying to be out here. Listen, Bahamas? How do you get to the Bahamas? Well, fly. What's in the Bahamas? Beach. There's beaches here. Not like they are in the Bahamas. You got kids from some families who go to Disney World. How many of these kids? How many people can say when we were kids that we knew somebody who went to Disney World? Can't say it. When I was young, I was fortunate enough to go to Atlantic City. Didn't know anything about Atlantic City. But when I got older, I've been there before. I want to go back there. I've been there before. I want to go back there. These are the things that coming from poverty and inner city mindset that we have to struggle to overcome. And it becomes difficult, particularly if you lack the skill set to be able to build like that. And that's one of the reasons, acknowledgement to Saladin. The brother was just over in Africa. Um, the pictures, the video montage. Um, I have never known anybody to travel to Africa personally that I've actually can pick up the phone and call. I hopefully sometime, and if he's listening, and I've already reached out to him, I want you to come on this platform and share that because I think that's vital for us as a people, and especially the African diaspora, to understand that we need to connect to something that's greater than us. We need to travel and see the world. He put up an excellent stat about it. He said the landmass of the United States of America covers 1.9% of the Earth's surface. There's a whole lot of world to see. Go out there and see it. Even if you have to go by yourself, go see it.
So that reminds me when I was working at this high school, my second job here in Baltimore. Can y'all hear me?
Mhm.
Um, so this population, they pretty much community based. They never really uh, blue collar workers. Never really went too far because the way Baltimore is set up, that it's like in pockets. You could stay in your certain area and you got everything. You got everything there. Banks, shopping centers, malls, and stuff like that. So you don't really have to travel outside of that. But this particular area, they never really went anywhere. So I assume they never really uh, kind of poverty stricken area. Um, I don't know. I think they had one pocket that it was a lot of blacks lived in the projects, but then it was lower class white and individuals. So they never really did anything. So when I came there, I'm like, okay, talking to kids, like you got a 3.6 GPA or something. You can go to this school, you can go to that school, but all they ever was taught was let's go to the community college right down the street. And I was like, why? When you could go to this 4 year school, and they like, where is that? Like, how far is that? Like, that's too far. Nah, I can't do that. And it used to floor me, whatever, because no one was there ever came there to try to get them to do things other than what they were used to doing. So that was always interesting. Then I brought up this point again when like when Herb said bring things that you need to get out and do, and it always reminds me of the story of me and my man James in elementary school as far as swimming. Everybody was in the deep end. Everybody was in the deep end. It got to the point that it was just us two in the shadow end, the black boys. So the teacher used to always say, one day y'all gonna be near a lake or a big thing of water and y'all not gonna know how to swim. And we would look at him like, why would we be near a big thing of water? Like like that never even Like we don't do that. Like we go, I went on, family reunions, family vacation, went to Alabama, Detroit, Chicago, things like that. But we wasn't by big body masses of water. Yeah, we was like, nah, we good. And he was like, so if you fall in the water, what's gonna happen? And we'd be like, look at him like idiot. Why would we be near water if we know we can't swim? So we always wanted to just take gym. We didn't want to do no parts of swim. But James was on the pickup ring, and that's the first test where you put your head under the thing, go down, and grab the rings. He was on that for about 3, 4 years, just stuck. And I was on backstroke, couldn't get past that. Somehow, some way, I don't know what got into him. I need to ask him next time I see him. How the hell did out of you were stuck on something for 3 or 4 years? Then all of a sudden he shot past me, got past the backstroke, got into the deep end, and I'm sitting there like, oh, ain't no way I'm gonna be holding it out here in the shallow end. So the very next week, I learned how to do the backstroke. See, and that's the power of people motivating you or finding someone to bring the best out of you. We do a poor job of looking at some people and say, man, they doing this or doing that. Man, they just went on, got their masters, or they went on and got their apprenticeship in this, whatever. I'm interested in that. We do a poor job of being competitive to say, man, it's time for me to elevate my game. No, we too busy trying to compete with, oh, they bought this, they bought these sneakers, oh, they got the 3 pairs of Jordan ones, the different colors, oh, they got these fedora hats, they got this and that. Uh, we want to compete with stuff like that, cars and things of that nature, instead of something with substance. We just want to compete with stuff that we could physically see on the outside, but instead of stuff on the inside.
Yeah, it's I there's a world out there, man. I just encourage people to go see it, man. Go experience it. I mean, do it. Listen to the old Nike slogan, just do it. Yeah, I read at work, everything you want to accomplish is on the other side of fear. Now, me personally, the only thing I feel is being broken homeless. Otherwise, I'm game to do just about anything. But that's why I always push people, to learn another language. Shed that notion that Americans are ignorant. They don't know nothing. They don't want to aspire to be anything. And despite the whole to do about passport, brothers, get your passport and go. Pick a destination. And I referenced the movie before. I don't know how many people did their homework. Up in the Air. I hope you watched it. But that movie's a microcosm of life, man. Really, it is.
What movie is that?
Up in the Air with George Clooney.
Okay, yeah. All right, so I want to move on to the next point of this things that annoy women. So that self admiration. Remember the look at me, look what I'm doing. I went here. I'm going here. Look what I made for dinner. Look what I made for lunch. Look at me. And everything, it's always about them, but they never take the time to get to know that woman. So what's y'all take on that? That self admiration, the person that's, and you should love yourself, but come on, have a balance about it. Like everything ain't meant to be told. Everything you do ain't meant to be told or put out there.
Narcissistic tendencies.
That's
Oh my
that's
goodness.
that's one way of looking at it. The other is they have no filter. So they not only don't they do they not know, don't they know? They don't understand. And I've always said this about social media or money. It doesn't change you, it makes you more of who you are. So if you're overbearing, boisterous, flamboyant, that persona is gonna manifest itself tenfold when it comes to social media when you get more money. Case in point, my my Facebook profile has been open to the public since 2010, 2010, 2011. You could comb my Facebook profile, my pictures, and you won't find out a great deal about me because I'm a private person. So that even becomes more pronounced with my social media presence. And people will always say, "Well, that's because he has something to hide." No, that's because I treasure my privacy. You don't need to know what I'm doing because if you did, you would be a part of it. Some people feel the need to include the world in what they're doing. I'm not going to judge you. I just know that there's going to be certain times where if I do something, you're not going to be invited because you want to pick up your camera, you want to document everything. Think about it. There are certain events that the upper echelon go to, and the way these people are allowed to come in is this is the price of admission. Yes, they say in order for you to come in here, you have to give us your phone. We put it in the box, and at the end of the night, as you're leaving, you get it back. That's what people need to start to learn to employ is discernment. And unfortunately, that starts at an early age. So if you don't practice that as a kid or as a young adult, by the time you get to college, if you go to college or by the time you start working, and now with social media being such a mainstay in people's lives, you will never get it. Now that doesn't mean you can't take pictures, because Lord knows I have probably 2 or 3 thousand pictures of me when I was in Vegas, when I started to go to Carabana, family reunions. But that's stuff that can be seen by the general public. Rarely would I take a picture if I'm out on a date. Rarely will I take a picture if I'm at a sporting event with somebody. Now, I might take one of myself. I might live stream, but nobody's going to know if I'm there with somebody else because it's not their business. And I think people have gotten comfortable, and not that this is wrong or bad, it's something I observe. I think people have gotten comfortable with letting everybody know what they have, and then they wonder why they become targets for certain crimes.
It's true. It's true. Definitely true.
Well, I also think that that's a sign of attention when people like to post all their business and put themselves first. It's just the attention seeking, just too much attention seeking. Between that and those narcissistic tendencies, I mean, I know many people here who put everything online, who it's all about what they're doing and who they're doing it with and whatever. And I think that is just a cry for help. Mm.
Yeah, I think they're trying to convince themselves that they have all this stuff going on to make themselves look good. And if they can get any attention from someone to respond, then they're satisfied. They can say, "Huh, okay, somebody paid attention. Let me post this next time and see what rise or I could get out of people." It's listen, uh, as they say, real G's move in silence, whatever, and sometimes less is more,
Mhm.
and you
Yeah.
could show sometimes again like I said before a couple shows ago, sometimes you gotta Machiavelli on folks whatever and disappear and then come back and then things seem to be heightened because they like, oh man, uh, I wonder what they was up to. Oh, they used to do this, or they used to do that. But all of a sudden they, disappear for a while. Then you come back, you might get a greater response, or people might appreciate you. But your ass posting 10, 15, 20, 25 times a day about stuff. Shut up, and find something else to do. For real, for real. I could start calling out people on this show, but I ain't really want to do it. I ain't really want to do it. I ain't really want to do it. I start calling folks out, whatever, and to the point that everybody be tuning in because they'll be like, "Damn, you know you got called out. You know you got called out." But I ain't gonna do it. I'm trying not to. I'm trying to be good a little bit, just a little bit.
Yeah, yeah. Like I said, man, people want to be important to people that essentially don't care about them. The only person I'm trying to impress is myself. I don't care about my neighbors, friends. They doing what they do. Cool. But I've always been that reserved type of person that I've never felt the need to keep up with the Joneses. I've never felt the need to impress people. And I think it's unfortunate that a lot of people they put themselves under that pressure because eventually what it does is it starts to make you resentful. And people will probably be asked the question, well, how can wanting to do something like that make you resentful? Because you have to keep up appearances. So just imagine you go somewhere one day. People say, yo, we didn't see you there. What happened? Oh, I had to do this, had to do this. And they say, well, you always making excuses, when we invite you to something, but we always see you posting pictures when you here, here, and here. Why is that? And the person will turn around and say, snap, and say, hey, look, I told you I had to do something. I don't have to do everything with you. And it starts to create this tension that's unnecessary because this individual has put out a persona that isn't real. The whole YOLO, you only live once, or fake it till you make it. Why? Why go through all that when you don't have to do any of it?
It's a lot. It's a lot. I want to uh well, it depends. I want to cover another point, whatever, in this particular segment, possibly two, and then we can move on to the next segment. But the next one is preoccupation with sex. That annoys women. That that's all on this guy's mind. Every conversation is about sex or whatever the case is. So, not saying it's right or wrong, but yeah, you do realize most of the time if a guy comes at you and he's interested in you, he probably wants to sleep with you. You do realize that, ladies, right? uh, I'm just saying, it's
I'm
not
just
like
listening.
it's not it's not like he's like, man, damn, she looked like she'll make a hell of a friend right there. That's not what goes through people mind. Now, after you connect and all that stuff, you may realize, nah, this ain't gonna work. This is not gonna happen. We better off such and such. She can friend zone me, but remember this: I don't do friend zones. I don't do that. I'm gonna say that. Uh, but anyways, you do realize that most guys they do want to sleep with you, so they go about multiple ways of trying to make it happen if they're attracted to you. So let's understand that. All right, I'm done. Y'all can have y'all part. I just wanted to throw that out there.
it's it's simple. It drives male behavior. I mean, that's as simple as I can put it. Now, depending on what other things that man is seeking can play a role in that. And what I mean by that is this. Let's say his initial attraction is purely sexual. As women, you have two options. One, you can engage that, and two, you cannot engage that. If you take the former, you have to take that with the understanding that, okay, I am ceding control, not power, but control of the relationship, whatever it might be, to him, because now his primary pursuit and goal has been achieved. What else can I offer him? How else can I entice him to stay here? How else can I show him that I have something to give him besides sex? This is one of the things that Kevin Samuels used to always say. He said he would tell women when he would talk to them, he said, "Your anatomy is standard on every woman. What else do you do? Do you have that you can present that's going to say, I want this woman around me? She's somebody that when I have plans, she's going to be the first person I call. She might be the only person I call." What separates you from the rest of the female populace?
And let me add this in, and I want to hear Jackie's opinion. One of the things for me, we have to have the ability to laugh together, like crack up laughing. That's like one of the eighth wonders of the world, laughter. So therapeutic, relaxing. If we can't do any of that, and it's always nervous grounds or tension, we probably ain't got nothing to talk about. Seriously, we don't have too much to talk about. So keep that in mind. Sometimes you just got to let your hair down or whatever and have that ability to laugh, to block out, because who knows what positions y'all work or, y'all day to day activities that
Mhm.
stop you from doing that. But then you get with a certain person and be like, man, I needed that. Man, we cracked that. We laughed all night long. My sides hurt from laughing. That's one of the best feelings to have, be around someone who can make you, and that's what makes you want to be around that person over and over and over again. But if you want to be a stressor and decide you want to be a stressor in somebody's life, that shit ain't gonna last too long. Trust and believe that. So you better lean toward the side of laughter than being stressful. So just throwing that out there, Jackie. The mic is yours.
And I agree with you on that, but I also want you to repeat the question because I want to address the question as you posed it.
Um, well, I was talking about the preoccupation with sex.
Hmm. And so, what I was thinking in regards to that, even though you addressed it to the as the male population having that preoccupation, I believe that women also have that same issue. They
We know
do.
that. We know that.
It's no
so
secret.
so exactly. So my thing is, I just the open communication and laughter is a big thing. I think that many women, most women, want a man that can make them laugh or be around people that can make them laugh. Even within the family setting, there's always going to be some jokesters, some camaraderie that's going to, kick off things. But within a relationship, if there is, if there's an understanding about each other and who you're dealing with from the beginning, then you'll know whether or not you want to be bothered with that person. If the person only wants sex, right, and you guys haven't built anything, like really any stable, any kind of foundation, then that's a turnoff. That's going to be a turnoff to a woman. Now, the thing is, we know that there is that attraction once we all see another person that is it's making things maybe um, tingle, or you may feel a way that, oh wow, I want to talk to that, or I want to deal with this person. Once that feeling kicks off, once you guys start communicating, you'll see if there's going to be some kind of foundation that can be made. You'll see if it's, you'll know what the other person wants are, just by conversation, and then you go from there. Because I think that open communication and being honest about who you are as a person, now, and not put on airs, is going to be the blessing that's going to make that relationship work or not work. Because if you go in there with lies and deception, then of course it's not going to be good, because you can't hide who you are forever from anyone. So the thing is, it's like I just believe that we all go into relationships thinking away and feeling away. And especially if it's not just, hey, we just gonna be friends and kicking it. It's if it's a relationship intended, and you know that you're gonna see that next person in a sexual way. You're gonna desire that, you're gonna want that. But the main thing is build that foundation first, to see if it's going to even be something that's going to last, instead of having um, to add to the count, so to speak, and then off you go to the next. You know,
This is one of the reasons to what she was saying. This is why I tell women, if you really want to see, and I've said it before, I said it again, if you really want to know where that guy is and what he's thinking, just offer. Just offer. Not because you're really offering it, but you want to see if he says, oh, okay. He's letting you know right then, right there, that that's his initial goal. And I know a lot of women are going to say, isn't that every man's initial goal? Not necessarily. Because I know the older I get, sex becomes whatever it is. If it's going to happen, it's going to happen. I don't need to rush it. I don't need to finesse it. I don't even stress about it. I want to know who I'm dealing with. I want to know if you unhinged, if you got some remote issues that might need to be fleshed out, that I might trigger later when I say something off the cuff. I want to know if you're going to have a problem with me watching football on Sundays from September to February. I want to know how you're going to behave if I don't take out the garbage when you ask me to. I want to know how you're going to feel about me wearing my shoes in the house.
you ain't wear no shoes in the house. No, I'm just kidding.
I want to know how, I want to know how you feel about me being anal, because I alphabetize my CDs, my tapes, my DVDs. These are the things I need to know.
But why you wearing damn shoes in somebody's house?
Exactly.
You ain't got on those socks.
Actually, you know what? It's funny you say that because because I can't sleep with cold feet. So the only time I actually do wear socks is in the wintertime. Like right now, I don't have socks on because it's actually relatively warm in my house, which is ironic considering I keep the heat at like 60, 62 degrees. But I put on shoes before I leave the house, and I know everybody's gonna say, "Well, everybody does." Well, yeah, but I walk around my first floor with them on. Now, my dress shoes I generally keep in my closet. So if I get dressed in my room, I'll put them on, walk out. Some people, oh no, you like jackets. You're not wearing shoes in my house, even though she was joking.
I
I've
was
dated
not
people.
joking.
Oh, okay, all right then. I've dated people who says you can't wear shoes beyond my front door. Me personally speaking, I don't trip. So if you come in my house, yes, I have places for your shoes, but if you wear them into my house and you're on the first floor, I'm not gonna trip. I just don't. But I'm not gonna let you wear them upstairs. That's off limits. What are my quirks? I don't expect everybody to get along with my quirks, just to know that I have them. This is why I believe in the 100 questions. So I know what I'm dealing with. I know what the triggers are. I know what not to do. I know what to do and how to do it. You want your dishes done how? I'll do them this way. When I'm at my house, I do them this way. That's okay. You want it done like this? Done like this. Because I believe in hand washing. That's just me. I'm sorry. I'm not a dishwasher type of person. And some people say, I refuse to hand wash dishes. That's so barbaric. Okay, that's
Well,
cool. Some people do not believe in hand washing dishes.
mm, mm,
I don't judge.
mm.
I've never lived in a house that's had a dishwasher, and if I did, I still wouldn't use it. I'm sorry. I just I don't know. It's just me. That's all I can say. That's one of those things that I don't mind doing. I'll hand wash.
Certain things you have to hand wash depends on shit the debris that you got on them or whatever the case is. But I understand what you're saying. But listen, we could this whole and I don't realize it. Sometimes I got to realize to say sometimes we only need one talking point because this whole thing could be
We can continue with this one.
yeah.
Be- the reason why these kind of topics not only are they interesting, they're important because most people are not going to sit down and talk about this.
So we might as well just go through this one and then have the other one as a carryover
Yeah, absolutely.
next week. So I wanted to move on to the part about male chauvinists. That's something that annoys the hell out of women when they think men are being chauvinistic.
For women, I think, and this is as much as women don't like making certain type of decisions with regards to why they have to, this is something that women have to actually pick in a man. There's a thin line between confidence and arrogance. Because when you get a man that's arrogant, that arrogance to some people who are unaccustomed to handling it can come across as chauvinistic, especially when that individual is a domineering type person, be it he's a athlete, tops in his profession where he lives at, or he excels in whatever he does. In Hispanic culture, they call him machismo. If you can deal with that type of man and everything he brings to the table, then you're not going to have a problem. Because you're going to get people that come up to you and say, he's an, pardon my French, he's an asshole. How can you date him? Those are all the things you're going to have to deal with: the backbiting, the name calling, the slander, if you will. And you're going to have to find a way to deal with that and not let it overwhelm you, because it may get to a point where you go up to them and say, hey, look, people are talking about you. They think you have a problem. And I don't know what I'm supposed to do. I'm getting tired of hearing this. I love you to death, but I don't know what to do anymore. It's just weighing on me. And at that point, he's probably going to turn to you and say, well, what do you think? Now, at that particular point, you have unwittingly put yourself in the crosshairs, because the wrong answer, you're gone. He's not going to give it a second thought. He's going to say, like Beyonce famously said, I can get another one of you, and he's going to mean it. So while you're trying to delicately handle the situation, the way you handle the situation is to say, hey, tell the individual, you don't need to worry about why I date him. It's better to piss those people off than the guy you with, unless you don't want to keep the guy that you're with. Unfortunately, that's the decision that women have to make, because they're out there. Those men are out there.
Jack. Anything?
See there?
I'm here.
Mhm.
Mm.
Mr. Glover, I couldn't hear you at all for a moment. I'm like,
No,
wait a minute,
Oh
is he talking?
no, said
no, he just yeah.
no, said
Well,
any feedback or anything you want to
no, no, not at this moment.
okay. I can respect that. So yeah, as far as the chauvinist things, you know, you're gonna have people that women that they're gonna be annoyed by that, and they're gonna be because there's gonna be certain things that men say that they may be grounded in those thoughts, and they automatically, oh, you're so chauvinistic, or you um you know, you hear people, you're part of the manosphere. You hear all types of stuff like that when you assert yourself, and it's things that you believe in, and you may not subscribe to other things. All of a sudden, you're chauvinistic. Um, whereas, you know, it's certain things, and I know, like for you, and this probably, and I'm going to tie this one in too. When it one of the points is not helping out. So it's certain things like certain things is just rude. Like if a man, like if you carrying a bunch of bags and all that stuff, and the man just sitting there chilling, or you're struggling in the house doing something, and he's over there, y'all live together, and he's not helping out. I don't know. I don't know what you want to call him. Uh, but I know one thing that Herb always say: if it ain't his car, and he don't give a damn if it's brick outside, he ain't pumping your gas.
I'm gonna sit my ass in the passenger seat. I don't give a damn who says what.
So you just not gonna get out there, even if it's brick cold and she got a little thin little outfit on for you, and you not gonna get out and say, "I got this, baby."
Reminds me of a story.
Yeah.
Without revealing too much information, I was working one time. I was doing security at a place. Female came in. It was cold. She had no jacket on. I said, trying to be cute. Now, we understand what that means, even though it's colloquialism. I wasn't trying to be cute. I'm thinking, okay, why didn't you wear a jacket? You would have been running through there doing this, trying to keep warm. Now her son rolls up. I believe it was her son, and tried to play tough. I said, listen, man, I said, it really ain't that type of party. I said, I just see she didn't have on a coat. You want to take offense to it? I said, the thing you should be taking offense to is the fact that she was dumb enough to actually walk outside with no coat on. He wanted to play tough. I was like, oh, man, whatever. I said, I'm not going to be bothered by it. Now, it was reported to my supervisor, and I told him, I said, hey, look, I said, it wasn't anything personal. I said, it was cold outside. She came in visibly cold. I said something to her. We all understood what it means. It wasn't offensive. So, yes, I will tell people if you're dumb enough to do certain things, then you're going to suffer the consequences of your decision. I have no problem with it. I said this before. My job or my responsibility to the individuals that I'm with is to prevent you from putting yourself in harm's way. So if we going somewhere and I tell you to take a coat, matter of fact, this was posted in the group with the high heels. Glad you brought it up, Dave. If we go somewhere in this winter and you want to look good and you want to wear heels, the first thing I'm going to tell you is grab some boots wear the boots into the place, then put your heels on so you don't fall. Because I think the thought process behind this is that men don't fall on ice. I'm here to tell you, we bust our ass the same way anybody else does.
Mhm.
My
So,
thing is, mm,
go ahead.
go
No,
ahead,
go ahead.
go ahead. My thing is, if a female is is choosing to not think about safety first and her health first, and to be cute, going to an event in heels in the middle of winter or while it's you know snowing and ice outside, I think they're very much ignorant, about that. But when David mentioned about if you would help them, even though it's brick outside and they're carrying bags and all of this stuff. I think that common courtesy, is definitely needed, and no matter what the situation is, I think that if you see someone struggling, male, female, or otherwise, I mean, lend a hand. That's just a godly thing to do. And I just don't believe that we can look at a situation and even say, okay, that was dumb for them to have this on or that on, but still don't have the compassion to say, well, let me still lend a hand. Then you got to just rethink this thing, because quite frankly, everyone out there, no one is on the same mental level. Everyone is not on the same um, mindset when it comes down to how they do things. And the kids today, they wear things and do things like it's so off. But then you see our age group, we got common sense. And a lot of people, even young folks, got common sense but don't use it. And the thing is, we can't just condemn them for it. I mean, yeah, people do dumb things trying to be cute and they want to draw attention to themselves. But the fact of the matter is, we have to have compassion, and we have to want to help a situation regardless of what.
I do not disagree. The caveat is this: I have no kids. I'm only responsible for myself. As much as that might rub some people the wrong way, people have to realize we are not entitled to anyone's good grace or assistance. The reason why I say that is because it sets up a sense of entitlement to the person who's receiving. Now, let's say we take an individual who's always being assisted at every turn, but they never help anyone. And the moment somebody doesn't help them, they turn around and become petulant, failing to realize that they're only getting what they give. We see this often nowadays with the whole "I don't need a man" thing. Matter of fact, I'll give you an example that happened in a gym facility. There's a young woman who was doing some squats, and I don't know how much weight she had on. She successfully completed 2 reps, but on the third rep, she couldn't get up. She was sitting there saying, excuse me," for about 30 seconds. Now, I don't know how long she was pinned down, and I can tell you that's not a comfortable situation to be in. You're getting your knee ligament stretched, you're down there compressed with this additional weight on you. Finally, after a short time, a woman came and assisted her. That's what I'm talking about when I say the sense of entitlement. A lot of people have always gotten the help that they wanted when they needed it, and it sets them up for failure because when nobody helps them, how do they cope? See, we have to understand that we are the world now is moving to a point where some people are being penalized for helping, and in that, it stops people from doing, from behaving, and wanting to do things that help people because there's always something negative behind this. Like the old adage, no good deed goes unpunished. So if I help somebody, and next thing I know, I suffer some setback and I got nobody to help, well, it's going to foster in my mindset. I'm not doing anything for anyone else because the last time I did something good, I had something bad happen. So in order for me to avoid the bad, I don't need to do good.
Yeah, and I can understand where some guys may be apprehensive on that. Before I go on that, let me read. Was it Jadid's comment? What if that's God's punishment for that person at the moment in order for them to learn a valuable life lesson? Equity minds want to know. Interesting that sometimes you may be punished or
Yeah.
something may happen or
Yeah.
things may not go your way because
Wow.
of
Wow.
your thought
Wow.
process or things that transpired. So you have to be careful. And which is going to lead me to saying like some guys may be apprehensive to say, "No, I'm not helping her. I see she's struggling." But when you have certain women that say, "Oh, that's we everything is weird that a guy does," or creepy, or whatever the case is, or and they could be just genuinely trying to be nice. You need any help, man? Nah, I don't need no help. Get out my face, or whatever the case is. Some guys can just walk away, and then some guys will say, "Well, fuck you then," or whatever the case is. And
But
sometimes
here,
you just have to have a certain response to try to kind of even things out, smooth things out. Go ahead, Jackie.
I just thought that was a general statement in regards to just any helping anyone, because now it seems as well, for me. Okay, I'm going to use the same gym um, illustration that you gave.
Mhm.
Now, my thing is, if someone is squatting and working out, and okay, something happened where it wasn't, um, it wasn't expected. Now, the way you viewed that was definitely different than what I would expect a person to do that has some compassion. It shouldn't take, if we see something, we have to do something, regardless of how. My motto in this world: don't go by your feelings, do what's right, regardless of what happens. If we, I can't see myself walking down the street or going somewhere, and whether a person deserves what's happening to them or not, if I don't do something, where's the God in me? Where's the compassion? I just don't understand the whole, well, if they feel like they actually um doing something that they really shouldn't have done, or they shouldn't have, whatever, it takes away from the human part of this. It takes away from the compassion, the godly part of this. It takes away from the care and concern that we're supposed to have for common people. Now, I may be a little intense about that, because I just feel like people, if we're not willing to be a help, then that's the same mentality that everybody on this planet is having. Too many people out here has this I don't care attitude. Let them do them, and whatever they do, they call it on themselves. What happened to the people out here that actually stop and say, hey, let me help a situation? Let me help a situation. Whatever we do in this life, you best believe we we put it down in the book to definitely get recompense for it. Everything. Whether we negate it, whether we act like it don't matter, whether we actually say, it's them, it's whatever they did to deserve that. We cannot have, if everyone out there keeps this type of mindset, then this world is going to hell in a handbasket like it's already going. And we don't need everyone out here with this. We're supposed to have compassion compassion for the next one. Whether it's in a small amount or whether it's in a large amount, we are supposed to actually have some kind of common decency to say, yo, this person's struggling. Let me lend a hand. Whether they say, oh, I don't need your help or not, well, then that's their choice. That's when you say, oh, that's on you. You gotta go. But always, I don't believe that anybody should sit back and watch something done. And if somebody does that, I believe that they don't have a heart of God. They don't have no compassion. They don't have none in them that's going to show humanity that there is good people out here. And I'm sorry, I just
Well,
can't. I can't see it.
now let me say this. So, what happens if you have that heart in every the last three, four, 5 times you have attempted? Let me grab this for you. Let me grab the door, and you get your head ripped off. Sooner or later, you gonna turn the left cheek and say, "Excuse my language, fuck it, I ain't helping." But even deeper than that, we go through this every day when we talk about Pookies and Ray Rays getting killed,
Mm-hmm.
whatever, and
Mm-hmm.
people know who did it. They don't say anything. They just go go about their business. But when they think a white person did it to them, now everybody mad, everybody protesting, everybody posting on social media, but don't have the same energy when you know that somebody did it, that you know you know them, you know their family, and everybody's connected. But all of a sudden, nobody doesn't say anything. Listen, this shit has to be universal. If you got a heart, you
Yeah.
got a heart for every situation. You can't pick and choose when the time is appropriate to say something, especially knowing you sitting in the face of the person, the family members every day, and you got some inside information, and you just chilling. You just chilling, and they just suffering, or whatever the case is. We got to do better as far as that. So we far off from mankind, humankind, whatever that was put in place for us to be. We far from it, unfortunately.
I've heard this adage, and when I first heard it, I didn't quite grasp it. But as I started to witness more things and came into the understanding that Dave just gave, I said, you know what? And Jediah just spoke to this. They said, never interrupt someone's karma. A lot of people have put out bad energy, and they're reaping that bad energy by being in a situation in which someone can help, but no one does. The gym thing that I was talking about is the result of men being demonized. Not that this has anything to do with you personally, Jackie. Men have been demonized for being lecherous, staring at women, and making women feel uncomfortable in gyms. So men have said, okay, you know what? We've heard you. We understand. We are not going to help anymore. We're going to leave you alone, even when we see and we know that you need help, because we do not want to be the center of attention, negative attention, in this video that you're making, because a lot of women are doing that. They're taking to Facebook, TikTok, and other social media platforms, and they're demonizing men for looking at them or helping them. It's just like David said. So, how do you reconcile getting your head ripped off for just being compassionate? And that's the thing that few people are willing to address. Like I tell people, for everything you do, it's a law of physics. There's going to be a response. It might be a good response. It might be a bad response. But there's going to be a response. And if you're, and I wholeheartedly believe this, if you're the type of individual who has put out enough and I don't know what enough is going to be, positive energy eventually, it's going to come back to you. Now, how it manifests itself, what it looks like, I have no idea. I know I've been the recipient of good luck, but I also know that I have put out enough good cheer into the universe by virtue of the things that I have done for people. Didn't ask anything in return other than a thank you and an acknowledgement, and went on about my day. But that's the type of person I am. If I can help somebody without putting myself out, I'm done. I'm walking down the street, I see somebody may have fallen, help them out. As a matter of fact, 2 years ago, I was going to Tops. There's a lady who had turned into the parking lot, Harry Plaza, car stall. I waved another brother down and said, "Yo, man, let's give her a hand and let's just get her car out of here so she doesn't get hit." She was grateful. Did what I was supposed to do, on about my way. Earlier this winter, my neighbor, she had asked me for assistance before with moving something for her mother. Her mother's an older woman. She still hasn't come to me for that. But I heard the car being stuck. Went outside, grabbed my shovel, saw what was going on. I said, "Go in the house and get some hot water." She said, "Hot water?" I said, "Yes." She said, "It'll freeze." I said, "Yes, it will. But by the time it does, it will accomplish the job that you need to do." 10 minutes, we got her unstuck. She was on about her way. That's what I do. I want my neighborhood to be a safe haven for the people that live here. Before my neighbor Bob moved out, I would shovel his walkway. The lady whose mother I just told you I helped get unstuck, I would shovel her walkway because I believe in community. I believe in doing those things because it makes the neighborhood better. It makes people in the neighborhood feel secure, that they know that there's somebody that's going to help them when they potentially can't help themselves. Now, they've also bought me gift cards. And I told them, I said, "You didn't have to, but I appreciate it." That's what I'm talking about. There's a lot of people that will say, "Well, I'm not going to do unless it's done for." And that's their right. That is their inalienable right to offer their time and assistance and get something for it. That's why we work. But I also believe in doing something and not getting that immediate reward. This is one of the reasons why I volunteered to do mentoring unpaid. And sometimes I was doing 15, 20, 30 hours a week, unpaid volunteering. That didn't even count the school. That's just something else I was doing. So you have the people that are out there. The only thing is there's never a spotlight put on it. There's always a spotlight put on the negative. There's always a spotlight put on um, other things that really have nothing to do with it. I remember Channel 7 30 years ago, they would spotlight people at the end of the newscast who did things good. And it always shined a light on them. And I believe that sets a template for other people to do it. Not because that they'll appear on TV, but they'll say, "Hey, you know what? If this person can do it, so can I."
And and that makes a lot of sense. So again, you wonder why when you're riding and you see a one woman under a hood and you say, hmm, maybe you don't have the best skills or whatever the case is, but you say, man, she's out here in the middle of nowhere. Let me let me just pull up and see if it's something, or at least keep her company or whatever the case is to make sure she's safe. When you're in a desperate situation, and I know there is a lot of weirdos. There's a lot of people that could take advantage of that situation, but I don't know what alternative you have if you're somewhere stranded and someone pulls over and like, hey, I seen you. What's going on? Or you go past them, throw your car in reverse. Whether you got the skills to kind of help them out. what alternative do you have if you're somewhere stranded and you're desperate? I mean, I don't know if you can weed people out that quickly to say he's a freak or whatever the case is, but I think you need to start off at least being pleasant,
Mhm.
especially when you're in a desperate situation. So a lot of times you have guys that they just keep on riding by. Yeah,
Yeah.
look at this idiot chick, whatever. Oh, who she go? Who's gonna help her now, or whatever the case is, because they don't want to deal with the backlash or being called creepy. This weirdo
Mhm.
pulled up, or whatever the case is. Ain't nobody checking to be called a weirdo,
Yeah.
freak, creep all the time.
Yeah.
Those are not pleasant words, whatever. That would be the equivalent of a man calling a woman, excuse my language, a bitch or something like
Mhm.
that. No man wants to be called a creep or whatever the case is, whatever, because that's not a cool phrase
Yeah.
to be called. So people have to think about that too. See, I'm not in the line of business of calling women bitches and all that stuff, whatever. That just That's just not my thing. But, but some women are quick to say someone, he's a weirdo, he's a creep, he's a freak, or whatever the case is, and don't know nothing about that individual. So
Mhm.
that's just that point. Now we're gonna get on something that people may say, oh, he is a weirdo, a creep. When men ogling other women, kind of staring, peering, groping, you know, not groping, but pretty
Gawking.
much gawking, yeah, at other women in your presence. No, that's not a good thing.
Oh.
That's disrespectful.
That's not a good thing at all. That's not a good thing at all. But that annoys women. Some guys just don't give a damn. They'll look like God. In their
Yeah,
head, they're
buddy.
like God damn.
It's disrespectful.
But
Period. It's disrespectful.
Well, the larger question is this: is it a deal breaker?
That would
And
be a deal
it's
breaker because if you can't keep your attention to the person you're with and even give a quick look at whatever and then bring it back, then you are definitely not going to be loyal in that relationship. You already given a
ooh,
sign.
ooh.
uh,
So you let me get this right. So you equate a man's literary eye to the potential of him being unfaithful.
Correct.
Oof, that's a strong statement.
The thing is, I believe that everybody gonna look. Okay, men, women, everybody gonna look. Right. Even when a couple may be walking together and maybe a cute girl is it somewhere, both their eyes is gonna see the same person. But if that man stays gawking at that person, then that's a problem. That's a problem. There's a difference between taking a glance and then respecting the person that you with. But if that's your MO, then you have all the tendencies of being a cheater, an underhanded person, and a person who is going to lie to cover whatever actions that they do that is not okay.
Okay, let me see if I can paint a picture for you. Let's say you're somewhere, uh, a beach, and a woman reasonably attractive, not drop dead gorgeous, walks by in a thong and pasties on. Do you expect that man to look and gawk, or do you just expect him to just say, ah, whatever?
Well, I expect for him to look, not gawk, because I'm sure the woman is actually looking as well. Because if she's out there like that, everybody's looking. The
Okay,
fact of the matter is, if you are with someone, you guys may end up talking about, like, look at that. Why is she like that? And everybody's still looking, of course. But there's a difference in gawking, being disrespectful to the point where if your eyes can consistently wander You can see something that's attractive. You can see something that's mind blowing. You can see something that's going to keep your attention for a moment. But you have to remember, if there is a spouse or mate next to you or someone you're dealing with, they are going to pay attention to the length of time that you're staring. And that is the problem, because you can see something, and everyone that sees the same thing, you can see, we all can see the same and look for maybe a minute, okay? Maybe a minute and a half. But you're not going to sit there for 2 minutes, 3 minutes, and just make sure that person is the attention, the only attention that you see. That's going to bring the most disrespectful feelings and vibes to that whole situation. And if a woman sees that, I'm telling you straight, them not want it, them not gonna want none of it. It done that's all. Okay, I just it's done.
I'm
Done.
Jamaican came out in you on that one.
Exactly. It's done that's
I'm
all.
just saying because I've witnessed things that I've looked at for probably longer than I should have, but the caveat was it was in disgust. And see, I think a lot of women don't realize that men do that. We look at things and we say, why? Not because we're enamored by it, but because we're turned off by it. And I think a lot of women don't understand that. So every time a man looks incessantly at something or someone, it's not because he's interested in it. It's because he's disinterested in it. And he's trying to really process, not only is he seeing this thing, but why would someone do that other than for the attention? Because, like I said, I've done it before. I'm guilty, especially working in the line of work I've seen. I've seen some, without getting too graphic, I've seen some things that just had me scratching my head as I walk into the back office, and I process that, and I'm still processing. And I'll ask my coworker, "Did you see that?" And you walk back out, and you're still trying to process it, and it never sits right, and it just moves your latitude a tenth of a degree to the left, saying, "I'm glad I don't have to deal with that every day. I'm glad I don't have to see that every day." Because that's one of the items I have on the list as well. That's why I thought these two topics were so relatable. But I mean, just because a man looks certainly doesn't mean he's interested. I will tell you that firsthand.
Y'all go ahead. I'll be right back.
Yeah, yeah. It's we live in a world now where the new currency is attention, and we see that with I don't want to mention the entertainer's name, but the plus size women who dresses provocatively. And everybody talks about, well, if she wants to look like that, if she wants to dress like that, it's her right. Absolutely, it is. It's also the privy of people to criticize her in the way that she looks. And I'm speaking of Lizzo. People think that men shouldn't say anything about that. And the thing about that is it creates an image that men find objectionable. And people will say, well, why do men look at her if they object to it? Because they don't want that message reinforced, downloaded, and put it to the heads of young, impressionable women. Because when you start to do that and you repeat that message over and over and over again to somebody who's impressionable, they may mimic that look. And they may not look like Lizzo. they be a little bit more attractive, and they have to deal with one unwanted attention. And I know the phrase is going to come behind that. Well, you know what? It's not a woman's responsibility for her to make sure that a guy doesn't bother her. You're absolutely correct. But the thing about it is, men are attracted to certain things, and an aesthetically appealing woman is going to draw that attention. That's not to say that a man is going to do something to her, but that's going to say she's going to have a lot of eyes looking her way, and it may make her feel uncomfortable. And this is where we get into he's a creep, he's lecherous. Well, man, you out here wearing a skirt that's 2 inches below your vaginal area. You in a tube top that exposes everything except for your areolas. And you talk about getting negative and unwanted attention? How does that work? I don't know. So you demonize it, not say you, but men are being demonized for being men. It's the equivalent of, it would be the equivalent of a man who works out sitting on the beach in a G string, him walking around and just saying, why are all these women looking at me? I feel so uncomfortable. The woman would be like, are you out of your mind? Yeah, you look good. But yeah, but I don't want people looking at me like that. See how silly that sounds? But that's what we are.
That is where we are. So basically, beauty's in the eye of the beholder, and a lot of people who like one thing may not like another thing, and they may see a person or a celebrity or whomever that don't appeal to them in that manner. But that's the turn of society, you know. All these things are out there now. Too many things that when I look at from all these satanic things that people are singing about and that just too many things are out here. And I just believe that if we are actually um walking in some standards, having some kind of standards of God or some foundation, you wouldn't see so much of this. But in today's society, there's not a lot of God being brought to the forefront. There's not a lot of, self-respect. It's all about social media and or what society as a whole is accepting. So we as old school, we don't look at the things the same way as this generation does.
Mhm.
So the thing is, we can't just knock them all because we know that people out there. Take Lizzo for example. I don't know her from a hole in the wall or anything, but I do know that from the little I've heard of her story. I mean, she fought to be where she's at, and
Mhm.
regardless of what her self esteem and her self worth behind her weight, she flaunting it right now. I don't knock that. I see her as someone who definitely is talented, and with the weight I'm sure she was teased mostly all her life in regards to it. And now she comes out there looking a certain way because she has more confidence in herself than maybe she used to. So a lot of things we may see now with people today, we don't know why they took the turn they did, and you don't know why a lot of their actions and the way they dress and being provocative and just doing certain things. Sometimes it comes from trauma, sometimes it comes from lack of self esteem or self worth. There's a lot of reasons out there why people do things. So that's why I don't knock it. I don't knock folks for who they are and how they live their life. You just got to see them for who they are. I'm like, yo, God bless them and keep it moving.
I concur. You get the pushback from me. I just being a guy, like I said, seeing the things that I've seen, I know that not all guys are looking at women for the reasons that women think guys are looking at women. That's
Mm,
really the only message that I wanted people to get, because there's
got it.
certain things that doesn't resonate with guys, and they're looking because they're horrified. And use, matter of fact, take breastfeeding. something I'll never do, something I've never been a part of. And when I see it done in public and is done in such a flagrant manner, people say it's natural. Okay, I'll grant you that. But you're gonna get upset at a man looking at something that's natural. Well, that's not why he's looking. It's natural to look. Well, people, and you get people, proponents on one side, well, she shouldn't have to cover up. Okay, he shouldn't have to stop looking. Well, no, that's indecent. Well, no, that's indecent. You get people that come down on both sides. Me personally, I'm repulsed by women who do that and they don't cover up. To me, that just says you don't have truth. This is my personal position. My personal position doesn't impact anybody's activity. That's just where I stand in it. And some people will look at me as, well, you're misogynist. No, I just have that standard.
Well, it's a good standard because it's the truth.
Some
And
people would, some people disagree with you.
well, here's the thing too. I get that, and I do believe that a woman should be able to breastfeed anywhere. But you have to have some kind of decency in doing so. You know what I'm saying? I mean, take for example, I went up to watch my little nephew play football, and as I was standing there, this young lady was feeding, was supposed to have been feeding her child. Now, as I glanced over, thinking that, she was actually doing this, she took the child, gave it to another person sitting next to her. But instead of her putting away her boob and just covering up herself, she walked around there like it was all good. And she just threw the blanket over her, half of her, and kept it. And I looked at my sister and I said, "What the hell is this?" And then she said, "Oh, she does this every week." I said, "What the hell
Oh,
is this?" I said, "No one should be out here making breastfeeding look so disgusting. And
trying to
these
catch.
men and boys out here shouldn't have to see that. That would piss me off because you have little boys out here and you have grown men out here, and they're looking at you and you jumping around looking like, oh, free boob." Mm-mm.
Trying to catch. That's
But
it.
there's a level of self-respect a woman should have with that. Come on now.
and with that, it sends a mixed message to the boys
Mm,
because here you have a woman who's bearing her chest, but she wants to be protected. Well,
mm,
what am I supposed to protect you from if you've already shown people what's supposed to be protected?
mm,
So you get these boys that come up through that lens of, even when a woman is doing something that's questionable, she deserves protection. And this is what we were talking about earlier with the high heels and the ice. Well, if she doesn't want to operate within the bounds of good decorum, then she's sowing the seeds for her own karma. So somebody runs up and grabs her breast. Are you really that upset? Because it would be the same thing if a guy's walking around shirtless and a woman runs up to him and starts rubbing on his pecs. Should he really be upset? You're telling the world, hey, it's here.
So that was a comment from Claire. She said, "Do you feel it's acceptable for men to be in public without a shirt on?" Well, I personally, even if I was built like that, I don't think I wouldn't be out in public without a shirt on. That's just something that I wouldn't do, whatever, because it, it, it's not it's not cool. And then I think also because the profession you work in, it doesn't take much for somebody to take a picture or whatever the case is, and you don't have no shirt on, and it gets back, and kids see it. it's not cool. The things that they can do with that with that information. So you have to be mindful now the breastfeeding and all that stuff. Hey, you I always say less is more, keep it simple, but some people don't do what they got to do. But I'm not one as a man that's gonna walk around shirtless. And Claire says she's not doing jumping jacks without a shirt on. She's feeding a hungry child.
Yeah, but there's also a thing as a throat clot that you put over yourself and the child as you're breastfeeding, so there shouldn't be any exposure. Hmm.
I'm not taking a side one way or the other. I'm just putting it out there that there are people that come down on both sides. Now, what a lot of people don't understand about New York State is it's legal for women to go topless. But ask yourself, why don't we see it happen often?
Hmm.
Hmm. Inquiring minds want to know. Inquiring minds
Decency and
want.
self-respect.
Ooh, ooh, I'm just putting it out there. Just putting it out there. And it's been legal for quite some time, but you don't see people doing it. Just put it out there.
Claire said a child shouldn't have to be suffocated with a blanket to eat.
Well, if then you take it inside a private area and do what you do. There's no reason for anyone to be in public, and I don't usually see a woman breastfeeding in public without any throw over them. And it's not about suffocation because whenever a person swaddles their child and or pack them up to go somewhere and it's cool outside or if it's a newborn, you covering that child completely, whether they're in the carrier or wherever. So the child isn't suffocating during that period of time. So to throw something to cover yourself and the baby you're feeding is nothing wrong with it. I think it's definitely a respectable thing to do. And no one should have to see anything exposed. No one should have to see a breast exposed. No one should. And no one should want to do that to themselves. I'm sorry.
Jadee said, I guess GQ magazine will come knocking at your door, David. I don't know for what. I don't know for what. Not sure for what. Okay. All right. So that was the part of ogling other women. So what about guys just got boorish behavior? They're just rude, jackasses, just cuss, just do whatever, just. And I know that's the thing that annoys women. That you have some guys that, and I say the same thing with my middle school kids, but I say it with these young females. I say, y'all just be cussing, just be talking, y'all just be doing it just to be doing it. Doesn't even make sense. But you have some guys that that's their behavior consistently. They just ready to go off and cuss somebody out on the drop of a dime.
Yeah.
Nobody
Yep.
wants that type of relationship with anyone like that. I if a man is that vulgar, I mean, you can be vulgar in private and be, just in conversation. If like you guys may, say a curse word here and there, but if it's something that's gonna fall out your mouth, every second, then I don't want none of that. That's an embarrassment. I'm sorry.
Yeah, there's a lot of people that I don't know if you can necessarily misuse profanity, but they certainly abuse it. And it's just like, do you feel the need or do you lack the vocabulary to really be able to speak and speak coherently, intelligently without being profane? Some people don't. They just don't.
So we got a lot of different comments had came in. from the last thing, Claire said, or you could just not look. Uh, JD said, with your shirt off on public and your students putting it online. Yeah, that's always the thing. I mean, I'm not about to give them that ammunition. That's why you don't put yourself out there based on your profession that they can see that because they'll find a way. Every now and then they go through spurts that they just want to put in teachers and counselors and administrators' name, and they looking to find a weakness or looking to find something to create havoc. You can't give them that. Greg said, "Do younger women still have to mature out of their bad boy phase where they are attracted to men like that?"
Mm.
And I guess that's that phase where the guys just cussing, carrying on, boorish behavior.
There's a movie called The Way of the Gun. Greg, watch the first. Matter of fact, just watch the intro. It'll answer your question. I've never watched the entire movie. I've only watched the intro, and it's hysterical. Because this is something we talked about earlier. It's for them. It's an adrenaline rush. Women love excitement.
Yeah, but
This
we don't. No, we all don't love all of that. I
no,
don't
hold on,
never
hold on,
want
hold
to
on,
rub.
hold on, hold on.
Okay.
I said excitement. I didn't say drama. You have to keep you and David will vouch for this. You have to keep in mind what one person finds repulsive, another person enjoys. Boxing. Some of your biggest boxing fans are women because nothing drives their estrogen levels higher than men competing in combat sports.
Yeah, I didn't had you know women that even I work with that you would think, nah, not you, not Miss Prissy, and they say, "Oh, you like boxing? I love boxing." I'm like, wow, I never thought you liked boxing, whatever. So yeah, some women they love it. They love it. And some of it is because they grew up being in that environment, maybe
Mhm.
watching their dads, brothers, and all that stuff. And some people make that a big to do it based on who's fighting. That they have those functions that everybody come together and watch it. So they end up just growing up. Oh, I like boxing. I love boxing. But some of it it's kind of cute, especially if it's uh, a pretty little dainty woman that you think like, nah, not you, and they're like, oh, I love boxing, and you're like, wow, oh, okay. So that's that. The boorish behavior. The next thing, poor grooming habits. We've talked
Oh,
about this too.
ugh.
That as a man, you got poor grooming habits, and you trying to be out there, and it's different things, the categories that women feel like, okay, that's non-negotiable. This type of it could go from the dirty nails or the unkept beard or hair or just the clothing. So I'm gonna rely on you, Jackie. What's your take when what do you think about when you consider poor grooming habits for men?
Bad breath, crusty face, not just like rolling out of bed. Look, um, uh, if a person don't smell good inside or out, they got a problem. And if if they wake up looking like they just rolled out of bed, never even wiped their face off, much less showered or anything else, that's not okay. Um, if the person works in construction, that's a different thing. I expect to see some dirty nails and all that, but um, outside of the grooming, I mean the dressing and the smell, and also the breath, that's important. They don't always have to, wear a shirt that's fully pressed or all of that. I don't, you know, just, I don't look at that. But when it comes down to the body odor, the clean, just your hygiene alone is important to me.
So, so when you talk about the breath issue, man, I'm pretty sure people know when they, because actually, if your breath smells probably that bad, you probably could smell it. You could probably taste it, and you know that it smells. No,
Taste
but
it. I can't.
but how do you get that point across with some people don't feel like there's nothing wrong? Because a lot of people, you talk about it like people say, "Do you brush your tongue?" And most people don't brush their tongue. They just do the
And I
teeth
think
and the
that's
surrounding
gross.
areas, whatever, but they don't hit the tongue, uh, or have mouthwash or anything, and they just do their teeth and all that stuff, and then they just keep it moving.
Diet has a lot to do with that. Something I read that when I read it, I was like, that's just disgusting. But then I realized the validity of it. And it said that women do not like men who flatulate a lot. Makes good sense. And the doctor said it has to come out one of two ways. So if it doesn't come out the anus, it's coming out of the mouth. So, to that, your diet will have a whole lot to do with of course, tooth decay as well, but diet is going to be a huge thing, and because of our diet, a lot of Americans consume a lot of meat, but they don't offset that by eating a lot of bran, which helps to clean out, you know, your large intestines. So you obviously you don't have food rot sitting in there, and two, it doesn't lead to um cancer, colon cancer later in life. So your diet plays a big role in that. So whether you brush your teeth every day, use a mouthwash, you floss, you could do all of that one day and you still have bad breath because of your diet. So just keep that in mind.
So Claire said, "Bad breath and dirty shoes." Mm, I could see at a certain age, whatever, or period. Well, nowadays these kids got more sneakers than who knows what. But even as you get older, dirty shoes, yeah, that's not a good look at all. Uh, because women thinking is probably you should probably have more than a couple pair of shoes that they get to that point. But sometimes some guys just like what they like. They'll run shit into the ground
Mm-hmm.
till they don't have no choice to get a new pair. My thing is about versatility. Keep it versatile. That you don't have to keep wearing the same thing over and over. Let me see. It was another comment. Greg said people like that become desensitized to how bad they are. No one
Mm-hmm.
likes men that flagellate a lot. And I'm gonna say this, and it might be sound gross. Like I would never do anything like that. But one time in college, I would try to hold it in, like never to do that in front of a woman. But one time back in college, I'm just minding my business. One of my close female friends decided, and keep in mind, we 19, 20, playing around, decided to do that, like come sit in my lap and do it. And I'm like,
Oh.
and I'm like, wow. I'm like, wow. Like, okay. Like, okay. These are the games you play. You mess with the wrong person. I got a lot. I got a lot. Let's go. I got a lot of ammunition.
Wow.
That was her big mistake. Every opportunity I got her. Now, of course, I think that desensitized me or that helped me realize like shit happens. It comes out. And of course you don't want to do that when you're with somebody when it's new. But I think after a while, after a short period of time, it happens. See, women always they try to like I hold it in all the time. And I
Yeah.
think when they do let it out, oh my God.
Well, and that only go for some women, because I can say for myself, I can excuse myself and go do what I gotta do, because I used to do that, but it is not good. And the thing is, everybody know that's a normal bodily function. So if the next person can't even say, "Oh, okay, that's what's up," I don't those are not my quirks, right? Because I give a person the okay to let it rip. I don't have a problem with that because it's like, just make sure we got windows open and you can just take the air somewhere. And if I can tolerate it, I'll sit up under it. But it's like because your family members, think about it. When you're around other people that you're in a household with, you gonna smell gas from everyone. So how we gonna keep running? We can't. So my thing is, I just feel like it shouldn't be a big deal. People shouldn't hold so much weight on that because it's nonsense. It's a bodily function, and it shouldn't be taken so seriously. Like for real, get over it.
Yeah.
Because sometimes you walk in and the stuff just coming out, and you don't even have no control. It's like, what the heck? Okay. And then what you gonna do? Keep running every time you have to? Your body wants to let loose. No, you can't
And you had,
apologize for it either.
yeah,
Okay.
and you had some people like, oh, you should have did that in the bathroom. I'm not about to run to the
Ain't
bathroom.
nobody getting get to the
In my way.
bathroom.
Yeah. So that was that. It's so many things, and that's a big thing. Whatever hygiene, smelling good, all that stuff, being well groomed, whatever. So I could see that being annoying as hell to women, but I also wonder, do women step it up to the plate to tell the person, maybe you shouldn't wear them shoes, or did you think about this or that? Because it depending on the man. Sometimes they take that personal, and then sometimes men like feedback for women, like, okay, she getting me right. She's getting me right. Nobody ever has gotten me right, and she's trying to get you right. So it depends on the individual how they take the message too, or also how
Mhm.
it's delivered.
Mhm.
Because some of it could be a game changer. And
Mhm.
then the last one I wanted to talk about is bad pickup lines. Man got lines. They got game. They got cap. And I don't. When do women determine if it's that was so cute? And I think it depends on the individual too, because two men can say the same thing, and one person says it, and it's like the most horrific thing, but the next person says it that you kind of attracted to, and you think it's so cute.
So true.
So who can decipher a win? But bad pickup lines is because a lot of times you say that he is so corny, he's so whack, or whatever the case is, but then you be smitten over somebody else saying it.
Don't know. I don't use them. I have nothing but conversation. So this is out of my realm. I do know that the individual that's saying something, they may deliver. It's kind of like a comedian. You could take two people, put them on the stage, and one person could deliver a joke and it'll fall flat, and another person could deliver that joke and it'll have the crowd laughing. Same thing with pickup lines. There's an art form to talking to women. Some men have it, some don't.
And Claire said something important. She said the delivery of it. I think, yeah, the delivery and the timing is definitely important. Some other comment. Greg said, "What is the worst pickup line you have ever heard or used?" I'm trying to think. It would have. Herb said he never used any pickup
Yeah,
line.
I don't have them. I don't have them to spare. I just conversation, man. I tell people I have the gift the gab. I don't know
I,
anything about pickup lines.
I can say this. One time, and it worked. I'm being transparent. You know, if you ever watched the movie from was it Minister Society? I'm sure you've seen that. Herb.
Yeah.
It was the part when Kane had the 5.0 pulled up at the cookout, and the, and the young lady kind of was bent over, and he said, "Man, I would love to take care of your body." And shit, it worked. She was like, "Excuse me," and start talking. Well, back in my days, I used that line to someone I was at a happy hour, and she was just we was at a happy hour hotel in Buffalo. John, I think it was the Holiday Inn, but they called the happy hour thing John Quails. So I'm being transparent on this. uh, and she came down. I just came from the bathroom, and she came down just to grab a soda, a pop, or whatever. And she was kind of bent over. And I said, "Man, I would love to take care of your body." And she said, "Excuse me." So we ended up exchanging numbers, and she ended up calling me. And I'm like, the next day, I'm like, she was like, "You don't remember who this is?" I'm like, "No." Of course, of course I had some cocktails kicked in and all that stuff. And I was like, "No." She said, "Well, you said you would love to take care of my body. So I'm calling to see, you know, hold you on to your, to your word. Like, what you doing tonight?" And that pickup line worked. So that I'm just leaving it at that. That was that. You figure out the rest. I gave you the context clue.
I would like I said, some women. It's like I talked about the Club Velvet story. Some women are they're wild like that. They say, oh, okay, he's got something about him. Let me examine a little further and see if it's what I like. It happens. I just never been privy to it because, like I said, I don't use pickup lines.
So Clarissa, I think if he is being intentionally corny, it's cute. But when men think they sound cunning or smart, it's a fail for me. Greg said, David said the same thing to 100 gals that night. No, Greg, no, 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 no. I don't unload the barrel like that, whatever. My stuff is strategic. I'm a planner. I'm a thinker, whatever. So that was the perfect opportunity. And I probably wouldn't have said the only reason I said it because I probably had a certain hunch that I could say this and I could pull it off. So no, I don't unload the barrel just on anybody. It gets shot down and end up 1 out of 20 that nope, wrong person. Claire said, did she call you a second time? Actually, she called me a second, third, or fourth time, and she wanted me to spend a lot of time uh going over because she was originally from Herb's favorite spot, Toronto, but she was down in Buffalo, and I never really followed up because I wasn't big on Canada because I had issues with so it wasn't no thing. It wasn't no big thing for me. But yeah, she called and yeah. Uh, Gee, I said David is such a tease. Sound like he chopped that wood down. uh, yeah, funny. See, David, LOL. It's all good. But this is what the platform is about. Putting out conversations, being transparent, sharing some personal conversations, and letting us know. Like you just can't. We could talk these talking points, but you have to bring some substance with it. not only swag but substance too with these talking points. So that's the point of giving some feedback and sharing with the audience. But yeah, we got through the first talking point, and as you see, it's a lot of things that annoy women. Now it'll be interesting if y'all want to, because we can run it back next week. The things that annoy men, along with the other one. Yeah, y'all might not want to want. Y'all might not want to
Hmm.
Woo.
Yeah, boy, I tell you, and we may just do that.
Hey.
But we've been on 2.5 hours. We've been on here longer before, but we gonna get ready to close it out with some closing comments. Thank you all who joined and gave feedback. And again, you don't have to sit in the chat. You can come in the panel. You don't have to show your face. You could have an avatar or whatever and just give your points. We encourage people to come out because you never know, like certain things. Certain people like, oh no, I'm not ready for that. I'm not ready for that. But it can help you in other areas
Mm-hmm.
as far as, because the thing is, this is the thing that they teach you in public speaking. You have to pretend like you don't see anybody, you don't see the audience. So some of this stuff is like practice for that. Like, I'm not the greatest public speaker. I get nervous as hell doing it, but I know in my job and stuff like that, I have to do it. And one of the worst things is public speaking or doing presentations in front of kids is the worst. It's worse than doing it in front of adults. That's more intimidating than doing it in front of kids, because you definitely have to captivate their attention, and they're all over the place and they have a lot to say. So you have to be on point. But this is practice for some of that, just coming on being a part of a panel. And some people branched off, they join panels and then they end up doing their own, because
Mm-hmm.
this is the way of the world, that people are doing podcasts, broadcasts, different things in this day and age. So sometimes this is it's a good experience. Claire said, everything annoys women. I literally have been annoyed by someone breathing. Oh God.
She
Oh
was in dislike of that person for real. Hmm.
man. And when you was at that point, you was ready to leave that person.
Mm.
If you were dealing with him, if you got to that point. Know what annoys me? Herb and that freaking cat. And it's
Mm-mm.
probably a different one.
This is little chip monster. He will be 16 this year. He's sneezing a little bit, so I'm gonna have to get him to the vet.
16.
Say hi,
So
David.
so really that cat is like 100 years old.
Yeah, he's my boy.
Oh wow. So
He's a good one.
he's still getting around, or his mobility is limited.
Nah, he's fine.
Oh, okay.
He's
Wow.
fine. The other two are around here somewhere. I let the other one out. He came back. He wants to be an indoor outdoor cat, so I'm gonna have to figure out what I'm gonna do with him. But yeah, he is what it is.
All right. Closing comments, Jackie. Ladies first. After everything that was said on this one topic, things that annoy women about men in the dating process, what stands out to you?
I think that hygiene is a big thing, and I think that most people is not going to be welcoming to someone that doesn't take care of themselves.
Okay. Okay.
Period.
Mm. Her.
Ah, interesting dialogue, especially the breastfeeding thing. Like I always say, you never know what you're gonna get until you actually um reach a topic, and that's always gonna come down along lines. Some people call it modesty or decorum. Call it whatever you want to. I think the individual is going to set their standards along whatever lines they want to, and people have to deal with the fallout one way or the other. That's pretty much it.
All right. Oh, you're not ending with your normal thing?
Me and my princess here. Growth and understanding all occurs in the gray area. Godspeed. See you next time.
All right. So again, for me, things that annoy women. Again, I'm gonna preach the same thing. The level of consistency. As far as knowing your personnel, and we're all gonna be annoyed by certain things that somebody we getting well, somebody getting to know might be different, but even if you're in relationships, whatever, there's certain things, quirks that you get hung over and all that stuff. But I think if somebody's consistent with what they do, eventually you'll say that's a part of them. You're not going to try to change. You're not going to change that person if they're consistent. The minute you try to change it and you get frustrated with that consistency after a certain time, then it's probably time to move on. Simple as that. Because if you was in love with the things that they did before and they haven't changed, then all of a sudden, and I think Jackie had mentioned that you must get bored. You must be getting bored, or you must think that there's something out there greater than what you had. Good luck with that. A lot of times people do venture off like that and think it, but then they realize once that honeymoon stage is over, then they want to come back crawling and like, oh, I was just out of my mind. I was going through something, and some people ain't checking for that. So try to play that game of Russian roulette, people, and see how that other person's go respond. So what would you rather take? Consistency or excitement for a short time, a short period that may only last during the honeymoon stage? That's something you got to think, or you got to ask yourself. With that said, we out. Everybody enjoy your week. Stay safe. Be well. We'll see you next time. Please like and share this video. Subscribe to the YouTube channel, The Controversial Counselor. And if you're on Facebook, participate in the Counselor's Corner because we have posts coming often, all day, all night long. And it's the same subject matter that we talk about on here. So join in on those conversations. They're entertaining. It's a lot. But we out. So everybody be like I said, be well. We'll talk to you next time.
Have
Peace
a
and
blessed
love.
night. Yep. Have a blessed
Blessed night
night.
to you as well. Good night.
Good night.